too, as far as in the desert?
Yeah, that. Well, thanks everybody. I was hanging in the back, and it's so cool watching it with you. I know it's kind of a heavy ending, and everything we experienced while making it, we just tried to kind of pass on. There was a lot of ups and downs, and some big gaps. And the scene you see at the end of Linda creating "What Lies with You," um, it was it really wasn't expected. I'd stayed in touch with her as she was going through so much in her life, and then she called me one day and said, I think I have a song. I want to go into the studio." So I quickly got my couple of core people. There was only 3 or 4 of us there that day, and we went in without really having an expectation of what we were filming. And she came in with a song that wasn't finished. You see her writing the lyrics there. And then I watched her conduct an orchestra, is how I feel. She just, as you see it happening there, is the way it happened in about 3 or 4 hours. It was, setting it up with the band, then the background singers come in, and then the strings come in, and we were just trying to keep up with it. And I felt like, the version that you hear with her, that's me this far away with a camera on my shoulder as she's when she kind of breaks with the lyrics there. And I handed it to my editor Camille, and I said, I think we have something pretty magical here. We'd also done the desert photo shoot, and Camille just took it and ran with it. And I changed very little. Like, she sent it back. She just it's great to have a partner like that that understands. And Camille happens to be a violinist herself, so I think good editors often have some sort of musical background like that. And that scene came back, and I just thought it was perfect. We knew in the room that day, as soon as that stopped, that was the end of the movie. There was nothing left to say.
Beautiful scene. Well, do you want to look up?
Uh-oh.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, am I on screen right now?
Yeah, you are.
Oh.
Hi, Linda.
Hi. Am I on a big screen?
You're on a big screen. I'll send you a photo.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for watching that craziness. I was sitting here waiting, and I was just playing. I was getting inspired sitting in my closet where it's quiet from the dogs and roads, and getting inspired playing this guitar that I bought in Ojai right here. But anyways, hi.
We were just talking a little bit about that and the "What Lies with You" sequence. Do you want to maybe talk about what you thought when you first saw that, or that day?
Yeah, I think first of all, thanks for coming, and I wish I was there. Dawn and I usually do these together, but I'm leaving to Copenhagen, and I'm doing a lot of, weirdly enough, the whole movie, as you saw, was about me not being able to be inspired to create for myself. And right after this beautiful film that Dawn made, I wrote a whole album, and I've been playing it. Thank you.
It's a great album.
Thank you so much. And it's called Let It Die Here. But that ending is pretty special because, my mother had just passed away, and it was pretty devastating. My mother, as it says in that song, was my hero and my villain and my muse. And I loved her so much, and I think that's part of like the damage, is like loving somebody so much and not knowing why, the abuse, why there's abuse when, and mental, emotional stuff. Not just, I can handle someone hitting me, but I can't, the emotional part is really what gets me. Anyway, so that ending I just wanted to like kind of disappear in this desert, and I also just wanted to jam. And Dawn was so accommodating and did both. And I didn't have a song prior to that day. And Dawn kept asking me, "Is there a song?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Is there going to be a song?" I'm like, "I don't know, dude." And but for some reason, I booked strings, a whole band, background singers, and he's laughing at me like, "And you have no song?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, dude, that's just how I work. I don't know. Something's going to show up." And then that the night before, I showed up at Mates, and Dawn was going to film whatever was going to happen. I wrote that song. What it's called, "What Lies with You," and man, what a beautiful song. I'm like, people constantly ask me about music and like, what's your favorite song you've ever written? And I have to say that one right now is my most favorite song I've ever written, because it's so fucking emotional and real. And, anyways, Dawn and Camille did such a beautiful job putting that story together there. And, I'm so glad to have been a part of it. I don't I know Don may have talked about, me and my part of this movie, but it was really his vision. I just gave him the material and the content to tell a story that he clearly saw that I didn't. It was not intentional to make a documentary, or to be this exposed. But I'm glad I approved it and let it just go. I mean, mind you, I would have fucking got rid of this whole damn thing, but I was like, you know what? You made a really beautiful film. It's really not about me. It's about everybody and everything else. I'm just a part of this.
And did it take you, when you first heard when Don said he wanted to make this movie, what was your reaction initially, Linda?
Oh, yeah. I was like, I don't want to hear about it, because he looks very, very innocent, but he's a tricky little one, because and I think that's why him and I are good together, because he's constantly creating. I'm constantly buzzing and creating, but I'm loud about it. He's very quiet, and he was a friggin' mouse, a quiet little mouse in that studio, and just, sometimes I didn't even know he was there. I just, oh, hey, Don, I forgot you were here. Um, and then when he came to me and said, "Hey, I did 30 minutes of this, and there's some people that think this is a documentary," I was just like, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to know about it. Leave me out of it. And I think it took him by surprise, because he's like, "You understand this would be about you. So you kind of have to be a part of it." And I'm like, I understand. If I said it, I said it. If I did it, I did it. I'll stand behind it. But just please, I don't want to know about it. And that was our working relationship, was just. But then when he dragged me in to go see that damn thing, I was just like, I was shocked. I was like, oh my Jesus, my best friend Aubin. I was squeezing his arm the whole time watching this thing, going, I cannot believe this. And, anyways, I was overwhelmed. And, but like I said, Don, he was so respectful and just made a nice film.
And was there any time that you said, "I don't want you to film"? Was there sometimes that you said, "No, please don't"?
I don't know. Like when my mom got sick, I had to disappear because, I mean, that was a whole movie on its own. Trust me, there was part of me that wanted him there, like, because things that were going on while my mom was sick was pretty crazy and within the family. But it was a very, very personal. It was very, very overwhelming. And I, I just, would call him, and tell him things going on. But I felt, what I like about this documentary? I really like that what Dawn did was we touched on something, him, and then it was there. And then it was like, there was nothing overstated, it was like, I had cancer one day, and then the next day I didn't, and we moved on. You know what I mean? It's like, it was traumatic things going. I'm having a nervous breakdown in a friggin' closet like the one I'm sitting in right now, and I'm like, and I filmed that bullshit, and I'm just like going, what did I send this guy? Because I had no idea what I did. I don't know what happened. I blacked out. I had this moment in the closet. Dawn told me, if you're gonna do anything, just film it, put it on the phone, send it to me, whatever. I just pushed record, and then I had a meltdown, and I didn't even look at it. I sent it to him. I said, I don't know what this is. Do what you want with it, but I'm deleting it off of my phone. I never looked at that at all, but I saw it for the first time on the big screen when he showed it to me, and I was like going, I was devastated. Like, oh my God, that's what happened that day, And what's awesome about it in the same breath is that happens to everybody in that
Right.
room.
Right.
Happens to all of us. We all have a breakdown, but we don't fucking film it and put it in a goddamn theater.
That's a good point.
So my side of that is I woke up on a Sunday morning to a text from Linda, which is lovely, and then I opened that video. And everybody knows the scene we're talking about, the Super Tramp, Take the Long Way Home. And my first concern is for my friend. Is
Right.
Linda okay? And I think I called and you didn't answer, which was unfortunate. And then I texted and then you wrote back. And then I go away for a year to edit the film, and then I show Linda the rough cut of it. And as it came closer to that point in the film, I became very scared that I put this in the film. And I'm sitting in the back of the room. Linda and her friend Aubin are in the front, and I just hear when that comes up, "Oh my God, you kept that!" and at that point, we had a talk about it, and I'm just so grateful that you let us keep it in and saw the power of it, because I think, to Linda's point, we do all have that moment, and I just feel like it just says so much, and you end it so perfectly with, "I'm a terrible dancer, but I used to not care," and that's all of us, right?
Yeah, I think that's real. I mean, just watching with this audience right at the end, you could hear people, when being so vulnerable, relating to this film, saying, I've seen this, but we don't have this often portrayed in a film, being someone being so candid, being vulnerable like that. And it's so nice and refreshing to see that and hear that. Linda, could you talk about when Don approached you and said, here's an animated version of you?
Puppet Linda.
I think at one point, I mean, when we did talk about, there's a documentary, I believe I said to Dawn, whatever you do not fucking do reenactments. Like, I don't want to see it. And I think I just made a candid, like, I don't know, use puppets or animation or claymation. I don't care, but don't do reenactments, because reenactments are the most cheesiest friggin' thing. And when I saw what he created, I was like, holy shit. That's my favorite part, because weirdly it has nothing to do with me, because it's like this cool animated, puppet Linda. But it really is me, because that really is, ideally, if I were going to look like something or be something, it would be that little puppet guy. Like that. That's kind of like my character. There's something I'm a little weird. I'm a weird person. I'm not going to lie about that. I've always been kind of strange and animated. And so I love that little character because it looks just, it's exactly what I would imagine that's in my mind of what I look like.
And on our production side of it, when we were looking for a way to visualize some of, because Linda would tell these amazing stories, and I would just think about how are we going to visualize that?
Right.
And reenactments is one option, or just long on-camera interviews. And we found this animation company based in the UK that had done some music videos that were pretty cool. So we reached out to them and said, would you like to do something that maybe is a little meatier? And they said, yeah. And we started this year-long process of working on it. But mind you, I hadn't really talked to Linda about all of this yet. So it was nerve-wracking, like, is she going to think this is the dumbest idea of all time? And really was so fortunate that that wasn't the case. And because once they start down a road animating all of this stuff, you really can't go back.
No.
And we were committed.
Right. And how about getting people? You have Dolly Parton, you have Brandy Carlisle. You have so many great people in this. How about making sure to get the people in there when you were? Could you talk about that?
Yeah, for me, it was I didn't want to have too many like talking heads in there, but I wanted to have people that to me seemed like key parts of Linda's life.
Mm-hmm.
And so Dolly was one that we absolutely wanted to go with. Christina, Sarah Gilbert, definitely, and then Linda's best friend Aubin. Oh, and then I thought, Brandy Carlisle, she adds, what a great moment that she adds in there about sending a fan letter. Did you ever get that fan letter?
No, I don't recall. I mean, it was the 90s. I got a lot of fan mail, like I didn't really specifically, target Brandy Carlisle, but I mean, it would have been a great if I actually had that and was like, no, here it is right here. But no, no, I did not. But she's ended up being a great friend and so talented. What a talented artist. And so prolific and so intelligent and incredible lyrics and a really good person. Now I have to say with the Dolly Parton, we could have left it at that. The movie could have been 5 minutes. Dolly Parton talking about how she's like Elvis that way. You just can't take your eyes off of her. That right there, that just,
Right.
I just want that to be the meme, the thing that just plays over and over. Like, wow.
Doing this movie, there's a lot of trust that you have to have between director and the person who's doing that. Could you talk about establishing that trust going in?
Yeah, I mentioned a bit at the beginning of the film about just meeting as we were working on this other project, and I think Linda, we got through some stuff with that, so that by the time I got to the studio, even though I was apparently hiding and not stating my intentions, but we already had a bit of a friendship, and I hope that what I'm good at as a documentary filmmaker is just being present and listening and not trying to, it's weird even to say like you're directing a documentary. To me, that's weird. I know that's the title and okay, but I think it's more that you're just there to take stuff in and then figure out down the road, 6 months or a year or whatever, how the pieces might fit together. And often they're in a different shape than the person that you're making the film about might think of. But yeah, that's what I just tried to do. I just kept showing up. Would you concur, Linda?
Oh, are you looking at my big face?
I am. You're towering over me. It's very strange.
It's very, yeah.
The, Dawn, one of my tells with people is if I know when someone's going to be in my life for a while because I get combative. I push because I want to see, what someone does when there's something important I'm stating, or if I want to push the boundaries of understanding their emotional stability. Is this person here for me? And so we did have some confrontation in the Citizen Penn film, but I knew right away that Don was a keeper, and him and I were going to be. I didn't know we were going to make a documentary, but I thought he would hire me to do more films, and score stuff. I thought I would, ask him to do videos, which I did. He did with the letter, and he did a great video for me. This song called "The Letter" for this Kid 90 documentary I scored for Soleil Moon Frye. So yeah, I mean, that's why when I allowed him, I just don't let anybody in my studio. I'm weirdly private. I'm kind of like I live in a bubble. I don't like going outside of that bubble. I'm very routine. I have a lot of OCD. I don't like breaking routine. And I let Dawn come in, and I knew that when he asked, "Hey, I think you're interesting. I'd like to film your process or whatever." I didn't really care. He could have filmed anything, and I would have been very welcoming, because Don is that guy. I mean, look at him. Look at that guy. He's very trustworthy.
It's very nice. So, Linda, I'm going to hand it over to get some questions here, but I wanted to ask you. I saw an interview that said how long it takes for you to write a song. Usually, and it was like 15 minutes. Was a comment like that. Is that true that I heard that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't labor over songs. Like that last song, "What Lies With You," I think I did write that one in 15 minutes. And I just go with the motion. I'm not, sitting here going, okay, I'm going to write a song at a 120 BPM, and it's going to be about, the nostalgic flavors of the intergalactic, lifestyles of, humans. I'm just like, although that sounds like a really great title for something, I just made that up.
I think we all have 15 minutes if you want to get to it.
Yeah. Write it down.
But the song just shows up. It just shows up. I don't know where, how, why. It just shows up, and it is my job to receive it when it does show up. And so you have to be constantly emotionally available, and pivot wherever you are when it does decide to show up. But yeah, I mean, to me, writer, I think I said somewhere that writer's block is a thinker's problem. I don't think much. I'm not good up there. I just stay in my heart where it's, a little easier.
It's beautiful. I'd like to turn it over to anybody have some in the audience.
And raise your hand. We'll bring you the mic.
Hi, Linda. My name is Paul, and just
Can you turn to the can I see the camera
sure,
over to
absolutely.
the audience now?
There we go. Hi.
Thank you.
There we go. And so, I loved the documentary. I think all of us felt the pain and the love and the music. And what I didn't get out of it was the one little thing is, what were you listening to in those formative years of pain and struggle early in your teens? I want to call that really, when you showed up, we saw the image of "What's Up" and "Four Non-Blondes." But before that, what brought you to that point?
Yeah.
What kind of music?
Karen Carpenter was a really big one for me, because there was something about, like, when I remember hearing her voice for the very first time, and it wasn't the songs because, you know, Carpenters were a bit cheesy with the songs, but there was something about her voice that I immediately, it was like I could give my pain a tone. I could give my struggles a tone. And it was her dark, rich tone. And interesting that she ended up, you know, being mentally, you know, struggling herself emotionally and mentally and ended up, you know, dying from anorexia, you know, but there was something so incredibly beautiful about Karen Carpenter and the way she sang. And that really, really was a big one for me. And then the next one was the Beach Boys. I loved Brian Wilson's melodies and the songs. They all felt like it felt like crying, like those melodies. Always felt like somebody was crying in those harmonies, and I just grabbed, you know, a hold of that, and so I just grabbed towards melodies and tones, not necessarily lyrics. Like lyrics actually are the last things I even listened to. And then my father loved Frank Sinatra, and my mom liked Brazil '66 and Sergio Mendes, and my brothers loved the Beatles, and my sister loved Elvis Presley, you know. And I kind of just listened to it all and took it all in, and just kind of discovered, you know, I don't know, I just dicked around and discovered that, you know, I had some shit to say, um, and a voice started showing up.
Hi, Linda. It's Jen Ashby.
Ah, Jen, Jessica told me you were in
Yeah,
there.
it's
And
good to
you know, I just started following you on Instagram. I'm like, oh my
you
God,
did?
where is Jen?
I'm
Jen is the most
here.
beautiful woman, and I had the biggest crush on her back in the 90s. Hi, Jen, how are you doing?
I'm really good. It's good to see you. Thank you for such a vulnerable and remarkably beautiful film, both of you. It was incredibly touching and made me cry. I too lied with my monster and helped them die. And what resonated so much with me was that pathological drive to push and succeed and accomplish. And I'm wondering if, since your mom passed, if you've had any relief. And if so, how you found it.
One, it's so nice to hear your voice. I can't see you as well because it's far away, but you know, it was interesting. Like, and I don't mean this to sound in a bad way, people, when I say this, because it's going to sound crazy, or maybe not, who knows. But the best gift my mother gave me was a peaceful passing. Like, it was amazing, actually. It was like, you know, the last 4 years of my mom's life, I just kept visiting her. I kept changing the way I was entering the room. You know, I took care of my mom. I financially took care of her. I would buy her house, and then she would tell me weeks later the house, oh, she wanted the one over there, you know. And then I'd be like, oh, okay. And then I'd buy her a car, and then she would tell me a week later, well, that's not the car I really wanted. I really wanted the white Mercedes. Like, it was like crazy. This lady's insane. But I signed on for it. I was like there. I was in it. You know, I'm like, at some point, I'm going to be good enough for this woman at some fucking point. But that thing, that annoying thing that she would do, that tone, the manipulation is the drive that got me to where I am. So I wouldn't change a damn thing. But that ending there, like, Jen, I held my mom for the first time. I hugged my mom, like I held her in my arms, and she had no intentions, and she hugged me, and it was all like, it was beautiful and it was loving, and I never ever had that. I never had that with my own mother, like where my mother hugged me because she loved me, like it was weird. Like I remember laying in her bed because I brought her to my home and my bed was here and I put her hospital bed right next to me. Like I could hold her hand from my bed. And I was up all night with her. My sister would come and, and it was like I would climb in the bed with her and I'd hold her and I would cry because I was like, what is this feeling? Like, can you imagine, like you're not getting that kind of, you don't have that kind of affection or physical touch with your parents, like where you just hug them. Like I see that in the movies all the time, it's just like, and I never had that. So that was the best thing that happened. And so to answer your question, I'm sorry I swayed off, but I am still I think I'm addicted to the pain. I'm addicted to the trauma because it's like, I think like a heroin addict, like I think a lot of drug addicts feel like they need the heroin to be an incredible songwriter or artist or whatever. And it's like, I find myself confused about who am I fighting now? And that's why that song is so beautiful to me, because in the song I'm saying I don't know who to fight now. Like you're gone, the villain is gone, the monster's gone. Who am I without you in it? And that's the part I'm trying to figure out. But I wrote a whole album about it. So my album Let It Die Here is all about my mom and all that struggle, and then there's a hopeful ending there. But I think I feel a little bit more at peace, but I think I don't understand what that means. I don't know what that is. I mean, does anybody? I don't know what that means. But I know this, I have an incredible child, and I'm everything my mom did, it taught me what not to do. And because I yearn and longed for such love and care, I'm able to direct it to this child, the things that I wanted. And it's a really beautiful relationship. And I'm constantly trying to be a better parent. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job. And so I find a lot of peace in that although my mom was fucked up, the thing that she taught me was how to be a good parent because she was so terrible.
So I think we have time for a couple more questions. Okay.
Hey, excuse me. Thank you, Linda, for the vulnerability you showed in that movie. I want to object to one thing Don said about apologizing for a heavy ending, because that was like Rocky to me. I was ready to run through a wall at the end. I was not depressed. I thought it was a beautiful ending. So
I'll take that.
powerful, I think, is a better word for it.
Amazing.
And it's interesting to have both of you here, because Don, you said something really interesting when you said, I don't think of myself as a director, and you're there. And I always thought director is kind of the wrong title for a documentary. You're more like the writer, because you're given all this material and then you have to construct something out of it. And I'm just wondering, because you can't bullshit us because the witness is right here, but I'm thinking like the Wilco documentary, where there was some conscious edits made that changed the narrative of the story. The director had an idea and cut to whatever that story was. It seemed to me, I might be being subjective, but I'm just wondering, putting this together, did you make any decisions, cuts, or additions that just shaped the narrative, or left things out intentionally that would interfere with what your overall objective was, or were we seeing reality?
I think you're seeing pretty close to reality. There's always, I think, making any somebody much smarter than me said at some point, making a documentary is like doing a jigsaw puzzle, but you don't have the box, so you don't know what the picture is. You just have a lot of pieces that you're trying to jam together in some way. And I think that's largely true. My process is, Linda and I didn't talk too much about what we were doing here. As she said, she wasn't keen on making a doc. But I like to script out, like, my one word sentence is, will Linda find her voice again? That's my one sentence there. And so then I write an outline, like, okay, if these are the things I know that are coming up, could these pieces fit together in this way? But then you just leave space in that for life to happen. I never could have predicted the path this film took. But I just try to be there for it and realize, okay, this is not exactly what we were setting out to do, but I mean, heck, we ultimately got there, and we have something that probably goes far beyond that. So yeah, I guess that's the director's hand of it, is deciding. We make a ton of choices on what to leave in. I think there was probably 100 hours of footage. It's a 93-minute movie. So there's a lot there. But my job is to try to get to the deeper thoughts and the more universal thoughts too, while also keeping it very personal. Like, this is absolutely Linda's story, but I hope that you all see parts of yourselves in her story.
Should we take one more question? Let's do it. Right here.
The last question is very important. This is
Pressure's on.
what sends everybody out into the night. So I just...
It's a short question. Hi, Linda. I'm Aga. I just saw you in the gorge, and I was so nicely surprised you were there. And I'm really moved with this documentary. I have one question. What you, as an adult Linda, would say to the kid Linda?
It's going to be hard, but you'll survive.
Yeah.
Tough question, but yeah, I mean, that's the first thing that came out of my mouth, that thought, but I appreciate that. I think that, it's a very interesting time for me because, like I said, I've been so used to, I've been a producer and a writer for something like over 25 years now. I've been hiding in a studio, using other people's, artistry to tell stories. And, here I am, like years later, and there's a documentary on me. I have a whole album out, I reunited 4 Non-Blondes, and, there's a record that's coming out for that, and I'm playing shows, and it's kind of like mind-blowing to me, this incredible support that's happening. And I can just say that, again, I'll say, I will do it all again exactly the same way, because what an incredible life I have had. And I still, I'm 61 years old, and I think I got at least, well, a psychic told me I was going to live to 104. I mean, so I think I have a good 40 years left in me, but if I've gone this far being fucked up, and I got this far, and now I'm somewhat a little bit more, together, like I could probably do things, I can do so much more now, so I'm kind of excited about this journey, although very scary. And, because I hate rejection, and I'm so like, that's why I left 4 Non-Blondes and got out of that whole, being an artist to begin with, because I couldn't handle rejection. I couldn't handle people saying bad things, and that my art sucked, and, all those things. I just want to, plug my ears and run. And I ran into a studio, and I stayed there for a very long time. So I would like to leave that off, leave that here with you, just saying, again, I know you just walked into a room to watch a movie, but it's so much more to me that you walked into a room to watch this particular movie. Thanks, Dawn.
Thank you, Linda and Don. So if anybody wants to see this right now, where can they see? I know it's to talk to your friends. It's so important to get indie film making like this and just support it, to let people know where.
Well, we have another screening here in the Bay Area coming up in Berkeley on Tuesday, and then the film is still doing more theatrical screenings soon. Sebastopol, Linda's going to London for one. I'm going to be in Boston. Everything is on lindaperry.com, all of the screening info. And then I think later this summer, we're going to have this really cool watch party opportunity happen, and then we'll probably go out to streaming too. So it's all going to keep rolling out. And if
I'm playing out there in Marin July 3rd. Too.
Oh yeah,
Yes!
that's right, Marin County Fair.
That's awesome. It's a fantastic album, folks. It's an incredible album. Thank you so much, Linda, for taking your time, being here. It means so much to have you here.
Thank you, Linda. Good
and
to
sharing
see
your
you.
story.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye bye. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.